Good morning, everyone. I am going to demonstrate a poem, The Road Not Taken, by Robert Frost. This well known poem is about making choices and the choices that shape us. Robert Frost is an American poet who writes simply but insightfully about common, ordinary experiences. Thus, the main theme of this poem is about making choices, how we choose when there are so many alternatives in our life. Come to the poem. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveller, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as far that the passing there had borne them really about the same, and both that morning equally late, in leaps no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the differences. Come to the stanza wise with its difficult words and its explanation. Para stanza 1. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveller long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. The difficult words of this stanza is diverged, separated in different directions. Undergrowth, dense growth of plants. Explanation of this stanza is like this: two roads diverge in a yellow wood. Here, from the beginning of this stanza, I would like to mention the poet was passing through a yellow wood where two roads separated into different directions. It was an autumn season, and there were two roads diverged in different directions, and he felt very sorry that he could not travel on both of the path. And be one traveller long I stood, and he was one traveller, and he stood for a long time in a diverged route, and looked down one as far as I could, and from that diverged point he looked one up the path as long as he could see, to where it bent in the undergrowth, and where there were dense growth of plants, means that path was covered with dense growth of plants everywhere. Now come to the second stanza of this poem. Then took the other just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as far that the passing there had borne them really about the same. In the second stanza, the difficult words are grassy, unused, claim, better option, wanted beer, had not been used. Explanation of this stanza is in this way. Then took the other just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim. Then the poet took the other way. It was fair, and having perhaps the better claim. It has a better option than the other path because it was unused. Means no one has gone on that path because it was grassy and wanted where that path was grassy and it and wanted where, and it has been not been used for a long time, though as far that the passing there, and it is perfect path that anyone can pass there, had borne the really about the same, though this path was real in the same way as for the first way, but it is perfect in the idea of the poet. Now come to the third stanza of this poem. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how we lead on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. In this third stanza of this poem, difficult words of this poem, of this stanza, equally lay, similar acceptance, trodden, walk over, leads to leads ahead. And both the morning equally lay. On that, here the poet says that on that path, it was equal proportion has been given by the nature, and in leaves no step had trodden black. The second path was neat and clean. No one has passed on that way. That's why the leaves were not in yellowish color trodden black, but he decided I must keep the first for another day, and he decided that I must go to the another day of the first path where he was there. Yet knowing how way leads on the way, I doubted if I should ever come back, and he decided that he must be turned back to the first way, where first path where he was there. Knowing how way leads on way, I doubted if I should ever come back, and he had a doubt that he should come back to the first path. Now come to the closing paragraph, closing stanza of this poem. I shall be telling this with a sigh, some where aged and aged hence two roads diverge in a wood, and I took the one less troubled by, and that has made all the differences. Difficult meaning of this stanza, hence, future, sigh, deep breath. Come to the explanation of this stanza. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Here the poet said that I am telling this with a deep breath, with taking a deep breath, that somewhere aged and aged hence, and in future from a long time, two roads diverge in a wood. It is decided that two roads diverge in a wood, and we must